She's like, wait, what?
Huh?
What?
Hey, Caitlin.
Hey, Cassie.
Sup?
Sup?
Sup, girl?
Sup? This is Pacific Northwest Haunts and Homicides.
Yeah,
Wait, aren't you supposed to say that?
Yeah, but you could say I don't care.
Okay. Well, I was just like, are we supping some more? Or
I
are we
don't
gonna...
know. I'm handling the dick right now.
Okay, so here's the thing. Is like, usually when we say that, it's handling the deck, but we kind of like, we make it like a soft, long, like, eck.
The dick.
You know? But you clearly said dick.
I did not say dick.
For the record, she is handling a deck of tarot cards.
I am.
We can totally cut this out later. It's
No,
fine.
we don't. We won't.
We won't. Okay.
Should we say hi to the creeples?
The creeples?
Hi,
I love it.
creeples.
Hi, creeples. Cute.
How y'all doing?
We don't pause waiting for her
I
response.
was just waiting for you to answer. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, we're doing the tarot reading like usual.
The huge. She is seriously handling that deck over there.
I'm massaging it.
She's handling it like it is not a deck of cards.
So, I'll tell you something. So, this case that I'm going to do is like it needs a lot of force.
Okay,
There's a lot of things that need to go into this deck for you to get a good tarot reading.
Okay.
So I'm putting it in.
I just have to say, though, sometimes I think, is podcasting the right medium for us? Because we do a lot of gesturing. And
I know, no one can see. Maybe we should take a video.
you know, one of these times, I think that's good Patreon content.
Yeah.
I think that's something we're going to
do
discuss.
a video. And
Meeting notes.
and that way they know like our tarot readings are real. We're not fudging any cards.
Who would do such a
I don't know. Who the fuck has time for that? Like, honestly. You just go through the entire deck of cards and pick the one card that like fits your case.
No, sorry. I
got time
currently
for
work
that.
6 days a week and also do this. And then sometimes I occasionally vacuum Chris's apartment. So I'm a pretty busy lady.
Okay.
Cassie knows better. She's like, bitch, you vacuum that every day, don't you?
You told me earlier.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. I've got my power into the cards. I'm passing them to you.
Ooh. It felt like it needed something.
Even the vibes. Okay.
All right, gonna shuffle these little bitches.
Shuffle them.
Shuffle them.
Oh, she dropped
Oh,
one
no.
again every time.
I'm telling you, it's not ghosts. It's just real. I'm a clumsy bitch. Okay. Cut them cards.
Okay. Cut
Okay.
on top.
Okay. Am I going to shuffle or are you confident
I
this
think
is
I'm
your
confident that's my
Okay.
card.
card? Okay, so here's the thing. Actually, you need to draw the card.
I need to draw the card. Okay.
Because it depends on how you decide to place it.
Ooh, and it's upside down.
King of... See, that's why. Because it's your energy. I don't know the case. So I feel like it needs to be... Okay. Oh, here we go. That's how you know that we were drinking the whole time we were taking photos.
Oh, yeah. We took photos right before this.
Yeah, I always have an accent when I've had more than 2 drinks. It comes and goes, cuts in and out.
Comes and goes.
It comes and goes. Don't you know? Okay, King of Pentacles. So the reverse. I'll read the description of the card.
Okay.
Since it is a podcast.
Yeah, read the description.
So the figure calls for no special description. The face is rather dark. I would say that's accurate. I'm not going to read too much more because I think that some of this starts to like color the interpretation of the card actually.
Okay.
But so the reverse says vice, weakness, ugliness, perversity, corruption, and peril. Let's marinate on that. Oh, Cassie.
Where's the big book? Let's read the big book.
Yeah, I gotta get the big book. Oh, wow. That was weird.
Was it already open to the card?
It opened to Queen of Pentacles, quite literally. That's kind of strange.
Interesting.
Huh. Okay, so this is one where the interpretation on the reverse, they're a lot shorter on the reverse usually. It's exactly the same because we have...
Oh.
Yeah, because I have the same deck as you. Yours is just a little baby mini deck, which is great for my tiny little freak baby hands. But we both have the Smith-Waite Tarot, so...
okay.
Yeah.
Is it the same in the other... Is the other book the same, or...?
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna find out.
We have a lot of different books.
Yeah, we have all of the tarot books. So in the reverse, the King of Pentacles is impracticality, lack of success, self-doubt, insecurity, and greed. So listen to this, because this is an extended definition here.
Okay.
Oh, she's wigging out. She's already identified.
I don't know, man.
Okay. All right. Success may be minimal or inconsistent due to entrenched patterns of procrastination or self-doubt. Being guarded about one's secrets of success and unwilling to help others thrive. The potential for greed and corruption. In an employment situation, a possible warning about a higher up who demonstrates dishonorable or selfish behavior. Horrible bosses.
It's possible.
Is it possible or is it postable?
It's definitely possible.
My God, seriously, the dad jokes. All right, let's get into it, shall we?
I think that could very well have a lot to do with what I am going to talk about here. Are you ready?
The postable or the dad jokes? Or the reading of the tarot?
The reading of the tarot.
Okay, fair enough. All right, that makes sense.
So, do you have any guesses about what I'm going to do? Because I told you it wasn't ghosty related.
I know. When I was like, what else supernatural? I don't know.
Are you ready?
Probably not, but let's do this.
Are you ready?
Okay, yes.
Do, 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 do. I want to believe.
No! Oh my God, it's UFOs?
We're doing UFOs.
Ah! Okay, I was like, it's gotta be aliens,
I'm so
right?
excited. Yeah.
Yay.
Yep,
Yay,
we're doing UFOs, which isn't, not technically aliens, but
yeah.
UFOs.
It's fucking aliens, though.
Unidentified flying objects. So, we're not going to do Area 51 or like Roswell, which is like the most well-known things, because they're not PNW, right?
Yeah, no, they're not. And also it's kind of been done to death,
right?
too.
Like,
yeah.
we might.
What can we add to that?
We might touch on Roswell a little bit, but just a tiny bit. But did you know the very first reported UFO sighting that made it into the national news was a man named Kenneth Arnold, who saw 9 UFOs over Mount Rainier, Washington. Yes! We're really excited.
We're so excited.
I feel like we keep getting really high pitched, and I apologize.
Yeah, sorry about that. We'll see what we can do in post.
But this is exciting because it's like right here in the PNW, which is what our podcast is about.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So his encounter was first published in Pendleton's East Oregonian.
Shut up.
That's where it was very first published. This is actually where we first start to hear the term flying saucer.
Nuh-uh.
This is where it originated. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
This was known as the Summer of Saucers.
Shut up.
Isn't
so
that
like
amazing?
Hot Girl Summer, but for sauces.
Summer of Saucers. Which is kind of interesting because I'll talk about it a little bit later, but the way he describes their shape isn't like super saucery. It's kind of like how he described the way they moved, but it's not going to be like the typical like, flying saucer UFO like cartoon shape that we all think of now. It's a little bit different. So it's interesting that like it started there, but it's not really like the same shape.
So we got there somehow.
Yeah, we got there somehow. Like, you know, the media kind of takes things and runs with it, but we'll talk about it a little bit
as
later.
they do.
So I'm gonna get into the story. So Kenneth Arnold was a pilot, and on June 24th, 1947, he was flying from Chehalis, Washington. That's how you say that, right? Chehalis?
Yeah, Chehalis.
He was flying from Chehalis, Washington to Yakima, and he like did a little detour to search for a marine transport plane that had crashed near Mount Rainier. Yeah, there was like a cash reward for it, and like other planes were doing a search for it too. So he kind of detoured, went to search for this plane. It was around 3 p.m. He wasn't finding anything from the plane wreck, so he headed back east. And I'll post a map kind of the area so you can see.
Yeah, I feel like that's helpful.
See where the mountains are and everything, where he saw the things.
Okay. And I'm making like a note of the specific times that you're mentioning too, because 3 p.m. is like daylight.
Yes.
So, because I feel like that's important to note in these types of cases.
It is. Yeah. And it's important later too, because we'll talk about other things. I don't want to give it away. I keep saying things. The things. Anyway, he wasn't finding anything, so he headed back east, and that's when he saw a very bright flashing light. And it was kind of like, he described it like light bouncing off a mirror. Like if you think about light shining on a mirror and that kind of light kind of bouncing. He thought it might be another airplane, which, you know, that's what you would think if you're up in the sky flying.
I mean, seems a logical conclusion at that point, probably.
So he checked his equipment and he... son of a bitch.
Oh, third love. You have it too. Yay.
Bros.
Yeah.
So he thought it might be another plane, but there was nothing. He checked his equipment. He didn't see any other planes except one plane that was about 15 miles away, which was not, it was in a different location than he saw the flashing light.
Okay.
So, I mean, we know his equipment worked because he saw the other plane on it. He wasn't registering the flashing light, though. It wasn't showing up.
Ooh, freaky.
Yeah, and I keep saying equipment, I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't know what planes use to, like, see other things.
I mean, you're not a pilot. Yeah, that's fine.
I have no idea. And it didn't say in anything I was reading, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, because they don't know either.
Equipment.
They don't know either. I mean, I would think that's probably typically, I think that's radar.
Is it? See, I was like, I don't know if it's radar. I don't know with...
You know, to be honest, I don't know, because that's such a different, like, that's the 1940s, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think radar is part of the technology. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, equipment, we're not pilots.
I didn't want to say radar and then have someone like email us.
They're like, it was the 40s. It's not radar.
So I'm going to say equipment because, you know, whatever. So we know his equipment was working, but the flashing light, where it was located, it should have shown up and it didn't. Very quickly after this, he saw more flashes of light to the north. And he did a couple of tests, you know, because he wanted to make sure it wasn't his plane or anything causing the light reflections. He like rocked his plane. They weren't moving. He even took his glasses off, which I was like, whoa, do you think it's like your glasses like reflecting? But he did it. He took his glasses off.
But he's literally trying to eliminate every possibility.
He's doing what you should be doing. So this is kind of weird. He rolled his window down, which I didn't know you could do in a plane.
Yeah, well, so at certain altitudes you could.
I had no idea. I was like, he rolled his window down in a plane to like make sure it wasn't anything like on his window. You can't
do that in like a commercial flight, but
yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I know it's weird because we don't think about planes that way. Because I mean, we're not people that own our own tiny private planes, but yeah, I think at certain altitudes you definitely could.
It's super interesting. So I learned something new. But it wasn't anything on his window. And then he actually sees what's making the light reflections.
Ooh.
Yes. So he saw several of these flying objects go towards Mount Rainier and then right in front of him. They passed right in front of him. And then seeing them from like the side angle, he said they were very flat, thin, like oval shaped. So I'll post some pictures to kind of like
Weird.
help.
Yeah,
so
that
they were
description is kind of.
they were
It's not the
super
typical saucer.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
not. And so they were super thin, oval, and they kind of like came to a point at the end. So I'm kind of like
Weird.
showing you the
Yeah.
shape right now, and it's hard. I mean, I know you guys can't see it, but I'll post pictures.
Yeah. It kind of sounds cool though.
Yeah. And he said they were really, really thin, like really hard to see until they like banked to one side or the other, and then he could see like the light bouncing off of them. And that's how he was able to really see them. He actually did a drawing of them in his report that he submitted to the Air Force.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he did like a write up, a little drawing of how they looked. And he didn't really describe them as like saucer shaped or like disc shaped or.
But they're like, edit. We're going to go ahead and give you some notes here.
Okay, so then he like kind of describes them as if you were to look at them from like the top or the bottom, the front is like a rounded like U shape. And then the back kind of points into a triangle.
Okay. Yeah. And
Does that make sense with like kind of what you're seeing? It does,
yeah.
Okay. And again, I'll post a picture of the things that he drew and stuff. So he didn't exactly describe them as like saucers. He kind of described them as like disc shape or pie pan shape, but only like the front half.
Yeah.
Because it's rounded.
But you can see how over time through like retellings, how that slowly just morphs into it being a saucer shape.
So it's kind of rounded at the front and then it is pointed to an angle at the back. So it's not like a total circle. And then later he does kind of describe them as like their movements were similar to like a saucer skipping on water. I'm guessing like,
that's probably okay. So that's where that comes from.
I think that's kind of where that came from.
So people just assumed that the overall shape was saucer.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And it's kind of interesting where how like the retelling of a story like through different news
it's
things
like a game of telephone.
Exactly. Yeah. So he says they were all flying kind of in unison, not just in a straight line, but they were kind of grouped together in a horizontal, like diagonal line. So like kind of
like staggered?
Yeah, like staggered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we know how many there are?
He said there were 9.
9. Okay.
So yeah, he saw 9 of them and they were in that horizontal like staggered line, and it seemed to him like he estimated that it was about 5 miles long.
What?
Which is pretty long.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 9 things to be
Yeah.
in one line for 5 miles.
That's a gigantic chevron.
Yeah. Okay, I'm actually going to play a clip for you of how he described them. And it's like a really old news clip, and it's super cool.
And I noticed to the left of me a chain which looked to me like the tail of a Chinese kite, kind of weaving and going at a terrific speed across the face of Mount Rainier. And they seemed to flip and flash in the sun just like a mirror. And in fact, I happened to be at an angle from the sun that seemed to hit the tops of these peculiar-looking things in such a way that it almost blinded you when you looked at them through your plexiglass windshield. And I could see them only plainly when they seemed to tip their wing or whatever it was, and the sun flashed on them. They looked something like a pie plate that was cut in half with a sort of a convex triangle in the rear. Now, I thought, well, that maybe they're jet planes with just the tails painted green or brown or something, and didn't think too much of it, but kept on watching them. They didn't fly in a conventional formation that's taught in our Army. They seemed to kind of weave in and out right above the mountaintops.
Oh my gosh. And he's so earnest. It's funny. You listen to like these recordings from like the 40s and 50s, and
it's so cool.
Yeah.
I really liked that. So he kind of like described them as a Chinese kite, and I had to like Google what that looked like, because I mean you can kind of see it in your mind, but I had to Google it to really kind of understand what he was saying. So to me it kind of sounded like they were like kind of like serpentine moving, but like staying level, but kind of like weaving, you know, kind of like
that makes
like
sense.
A snake, like A slippery little sneaky snake.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have any better way to describe that? Because I don't.
No, I mean, I think that from what he was saying in that interview, that sounds like a fairly accurate description. I mean, at least the way that he described it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really interesting.
So if you guys want to go and Google like the Chinese kites and see kind of how they move in the wind and whatever, that's kind of like what he was describing them as. And at first he kind of thought it was like military testing. He didn't know.
Yeah, that's what you would think as a pilot.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what you would think. But he kind of like got an eerie feeling about it. Like things just didn't seem right. And the first thing he did was he did some smart people math. He kind of
yeah,
smart
that's some
people
serious math.
He estimated the UFOs had to be larger than 100 feet.
It's a pretty big craft.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, I guess I don't really know, but
yeah, I mean that's
pretty big.
Yeah, it's a decent size. I would say, like, compared to like maybe a lot of commercial like vehicles that we use today, maybe that wouldn't seem so big by comparison. But back then, that was a fairly large craft. Yeah.
And then later, the Air Force kind of did a study on it, and they estimated they were between 140 to 280 feet.
Yeah, so that's pretty enormous.
They thought they were even bigger.
That's very large.
Yeah. And then another huge reason things didn't feel kind of right to him was that he timed them to figure out how fast they were going. So he timed them from Mount Rainier to Mount Adams, and he did some more smart people math, and he estimated that they were going about 1,200 miles per hour.
Yeah, which I mean,
which is
in the
fast.
video, yeah, I mean, in that interview, he describes like what the fastest, aircrafts are capable of back then, and that's quite a bit quicker. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge increase on the overall speed for sure.
For sure,
800 or 900 miles an hour versus 1,200.
Yeah,
that's pretty significant.
It's fast, and then I'll link the full interview too, or. It's not the full interview, but it's a partial interview. And I didn't play the entire thing, so I'll link it for you guys to go listen to because it's pretty cool. I love hearing the old.
It's old-timey, but it's also really interesting.
Yeah. So obviously, if they're going 1,200 miles per hour, he couldn't keep up with them, so he lost sight of them eventually. And he was also thinking, like, if they were going that fast, like obviously humans would not survive that kind of pressure in an aircraft.
Yeah, not back then. Yeah. Not the way that they were constructed. No. That's a good point.
So if it was humans, they were likely being controlled from somewhere else. They weren't actually in the aircraft. And I mean, if they were aliens, same thing. They could have been controlled from somewhere else, but we don't know aliens. They might be able to withstand that kind of pressure.
We don't know anything about their little baddies.
We don't know. So
their bodies are a mystery to us.
Hopefully not for long.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, definitely some people think that their bodies are not a mystery to us and that we've already encountered them and
we've had them all along.
Know much information about them, but I don't know.
Not the public.
Yeah, not the public.
So when he got back, he landed. He told his friend, who was the GM of the airport he landed at, and Caitlin, this is for you. The fucking tea spilled all over that place.
And the tea.
It spilled everywhere. Everyone found out. And then the next day he was interviewed by the East Oregonian.
Oh my gosh, that's so wild.
So they said, the East Oregonian said he seemed like an incredibly...
He seemed like a credible witness.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. He seemed like an extremely credible witness, not an incredible witness.
He was an incredible witness.
Incredible.
Incredible.
He was a respected, experienced pilot. He wasn't outlandish with his story. He didn't change any details. He seemed to just relay the facts of what he saw without like embellishing any crazy shit, which is rare in UFO
yeah
cases.
I would say so.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about some of the other people who witnessed these UFOs in the sky that day. So, another man named Fred Johnson was on Mount Adams, and he saw 6 UFOs through his telescope the same day, the same time, obviously the same area as Arnold. He described them as round but tapered to a point. Kind of the same.
Yeah, it sounds similar. Yeah.
And he said that they actually disrupted his compass. Like his compass was moving. And
that's unsettling.
Yeah, right?
I don't like that.
I know. That's kind of creepy. And then another man, L.G. Bernier from Richland, Washington, which is about 140 miles east of Mount Rainier, said he saw 3 UFOs flying towards Mount Rainier about 30 minutes before Arnold and Fred. So like 2:30. And he described them as discs flying he described them as discs flying at an extremely high speed. And he kind of thought that they were part of a larger formation. I don't really know why he thought that. I couldn't find any descriptions on why he thought that, but for some reason he thought that.
That's long enough ago that it would be hard to get more information if it wasn't already spelled out in whatever interview.
There might be. I don't know. I couldn't find it. And then around the same time as Arnold, so 3 p.m., Ethel Wheelhouse in Yakima, Washington, which is about 60 miles northwest of Richland, also reports seeing multiple high-speed flying discs in the sky.
What I think is really interesting about this is that you have people that are at a great enough distance that it's not like they're just neighbors who cooked up this story.
Exactly. Yeah, they're all different areas.
And I'm sure it's like these are all people that didn't know each other. They're describing something similar. Mm-hmm. It does make you think that, like, okay, maybe it's not aliens. Maybe it's not what we think it is, but all of these people are seeing something.
There's something up there.
I mean, what reason do they have to lie?
Yeah.
Historically, UFO people have only been mocked. It's not like they become famous and, like, you know.
I know.
Oh, you saw a UFO, so you get money now.
Yeah, no,
you just get mocked. You just get ridiculed. So.
And then especially people like a pilot, like, why would he lie about that?
No,
like,
I mean, his credibility is really important. He wouldn't want them to think that he's just becoming some sort of a wackadoodle.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't take away his license.
Yeah, they're like, buddy, you can't be drinking on the plane.
No. There's actually more witnesses. So,
what?
A forest ranger was in a fire watch tower in Diamond Gap, which is 20 miles south of Yakima. He witnessed flashes of light moving in a line over Mount Rainier, and that, again, is the exact same time, 3 p.m. And then Sydney Gallagher in Washington. The precise location is unknown.
Okay.
But she saw 9 shiny discs.
So, I mean, the descriptions are all just, like, they take place at the same time. Mm-hmm. They're describing the same things, even down to, like, the number of these strange crafts that they're seeing.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
And another woman in Tacoma, again, saw 9 objects flying in a high speed, shining light. They didn't have the exact date and time for her, but they think it was around the same day and time. But they don't know. But I mean, again, she's seeing 9 shiny discs.
Right. Fair to assume probably she's seeing the same thing that all these other folks are seeing.
And there was several other Seattle newspapers that have reports of people seeing UFOs on the same day. Different times and locations than Arnold, but described the same. Objects, flashing lights, flying in high speeds in or near the skies of Seattle in the morning. These were in the morning or at night.
Yeah.
But again, it's still the same area.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, I guess they could be just people that are piggybacking off of it because they want the attention, but... Yeah. You know, once the story's already out there, you're always going to have people trying to, like, glom onto it after the fact. Yeah.
And I don't know when exactly these reports were made. I feel like they were suggesting they were all made around the same time. So I don't know. Because Arnold's story was the next day.
Okay.
So I don't know if these stories all came in...
It's
fairly
possible if they were
recent.
all kind of reported around the same time that
Yeah.
it's just none of them was aware of any of the others having reported it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So 10 days later, on the 4th of July, a United Airlines flight encountered 5 to 9 disc-shaped UFOs that flew along with their plane for about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then abruptly disappeared.
Because I was going to say, did they encounter Will Smith saving the world?
No. They did not.
Okay. I mean, I guess what they saw was pretty cool too, but like, I mean.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting on 4th of July, because that's like, how many days? It was... He saw these on the June 24th.
Okay,
so
that's like about a week and a half later.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. They were still kind of hanging around in the sky, I guess.
Or they came back. They came back from whatever Borcon planet they were on.
Maybe there was like a big mothership just hanging out, and they were just coming down.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they were totally different aircrafts. They came
be.
back from Lorgasboard.
Yeah.
Or Lorgan fart.
That's what it's called.
I don't know why I have a compulsion to like assume that aliens have weird names for their planets, but I do.
Yeah.
But I do.
Their planet's just called like Greg.
Greg. I'm old Greg. Old Greg kind of looks like he's from another planet.
Yeah,
so,
he does.
You know.
Do you love me?
Make an assessment. You want to see my downstairs mix up? Like, no one. No. Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. Old Greg. Hard pass.
Baileys. Okay, we're done. Okay.
We are.
All in all, there were like 16 UFO reports around the same area and same time, which is kind of a lot.
That's significant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know who didn't see anything was that other plane Arnold saw 15 miles from him, which is kind of interesting. He was 15 miles in the sky, seems like pretty close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I would
Do
say.
you think that plane would see something?
I don't know. I guess it just depends. I mean, maybe they just weren't getting the same angle. Because remember, he was saying that depending on how they, depending on how they banked and how, like, if light was hitting them or not at a certain angle, they weren't always super visible. So maybe they, if they were briefly in a spot where they could see them and the light hits, but they happen to be, checking their gears or gauges or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they go off in a different direction and they're no longer paying attention. I don't know.
I mean, it's possible.
You could miss it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I'm on the side of Arnold.
I am too.
Yeah. He done did see what he seen.
So there were investigations done. The Air Force investigated Arnold's claims. Why can't I say Arnold's claims?
I don't know.
Correctly.
God.
I keep wanting to say Armels.
Armels. Aw, it's a cute little nickname for our Arnie. Armels.
Right. I'm just going to call him Arnie. No. I don't know if he would like that.
Yeah, we don't. We can't be sure.
Anyway, they investigated Arnold's claims. They did make a statement basically saying that he believes he saw something. They suggested it might have been a mirage. I don't know if you can hear my eyes rolling right now.
That was a very audible eye roll.
But then Air Force Intelligence and the FBI teamed up in secret and started doing real investigations. Like, actually not just dismissing the things that people are saying. They do real investigations on them. They were doing this because they thought there could be a real threat to national security, which is legit. Like, they don't know. I mean, we're sitting here talking about these could be aliens, but they could be someone from another country freaking spying on us. So yeah, they should take it seriously. So this secret, like, investigations gives me, like, real X-File vibes.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we don't want them to be secret. We want them to be public, okay?
Yes. Anyway. Tell us all of the things, for God's sake.
I have some like news I'm gonna share with you later. But anyway, okay, spoiler alert. So they compiled several UFO reports that they thought were like the most credible, like Arnold's, who was like a respected pilot,
Right.
stuff like that. They looked into them further, and they ended up concluding that there was, in fact, something very real flying around in the skies.
There had to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't be calling my friend Arnold a liar.
I know, right? Don't talk about my friend like that.
Yeah, he my friend.
Although they still weren't sure what it was, they did not think that these were just like hallucinations or mirages or natural phenomena happening. They were truly unidentified flying objects.
Weird.
Yes. And after coming to this realization, they pushed for something more formal from the government. At the end of the year, in 1947, they formulated Project Sign, which is the first official UFO investigative group that the Air Force acknowledged publicly.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Eventually, in 1952, it turned into what most people know it as now, which is Project Blue Book. And that ended...
Blue Book?
Yeah, Project Blue Book, which is like most people in the UFO community know that.
I just think it's funny that they call it that because like Blue Book is where you like get an accurate price for your car.
Like, they want accurate prices on these UFOs. Okay,
they're pricing. They're they're estimating.
Yeah.
They're pricing. They're checking it out. Okay, you should delete that.
No, I'm gonna leave it in. So that actually ended in 1969, which is kind of a bummer, but.
Why?
I know.
Because people stopped believing in UFOs in the 70s? Like,
Yes.
what? No.
Precisely.
Yeah, precisely.
So, but that actually seems pretty fast to me. Like, at the end of the year that this UFO was spotted, that they kind of started doing official investigations, which is pretty cool.
And they kept it going for like 20 years,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they're like, nah.
Oh, God.
Oh, we're too much. Or are we just enough?
Just turn us off. No, I'm just kidding.
Love you.
But I think the reason that they kind of like made this happen quicker was because a few weeks after Arnold's claims were made it into the national news, the Roswell incident happened, which is where they found a crashed disc-shaped object. And then all of the headlines were calling it a flying saucer.
Yeah.
So they kind of linked all of these like UFO stories together, all like lumping them in as flying saucers. They found one that was crashed in Roswell.
So when did they bring in Moeller? JK.
I wish he was here now.
Oh, hey.
I need my fox. I really like X-Files. I'm sorry. I'm such a nerd. Fuck. Okay.
Cassie just had a moment.
So now the U.S. citizens kind of were going, nuts over
A little bit
UFOs.
bonkers.
Understandably.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's an alien.
And what makes things kind of interesting about like the Roswell crap was because at first the government claimed that it was just a weather balloon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the story that like so many of us are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a weather balloon, you guys.
Because it totally looks like a flying saucer.
They even like did this big like news thing where they like had a weather balloon in the back
and they tried to prove that that's what it was.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, nah, dude.
It ended up being all bullshit. It was a huge cover up. In the 70s, a retired lieutenant colonel came out and said that the weather balloon thing was all just a big cover up. And in 1994, it took them this long. In 1994, the Air Force releases a special report saying that it was actually nuclear test surveillance balloon.
Okay, well, yeah, but you've lied about it being a different type of balloon already. We don't believe you.
Notes. I was like, you lied to us once. Are we going to believe you now?
No.
We're not. So there's still tons of conspiracy theories about this.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like with good reason, too. Let's be real.
Okay. That's all. That's all I got.
That's all we got.
Just kidding.
Spoopy.
We're not done.
You liar.
We have an episode 2.
Oh.
It's a double episoder.
My God, no! You
Yeah.
didn't even tell me it was a two-parter.
It's
Oh
a
my gosh.
two-parter, you guys.
How
Look
do
at
you-
all of this that I have left.
Seriously, how does she keep this in? I'm like constantly trying to spill my guts to Cassie about all of the episodes
I'm sitting
we're
over here
doing.
like bouncing because like.
Can you hear us bouncing?
So, do we want to talk about the tarot card and see?
I don't know. It's weird because I feel like I don't want to try to like make connections that aren't there, but don't you think like corruption?
That's like, yeah. I
That
was
speaks
thinking
to me.
that.
Some of the
Yeah.
other ones I'm not sure how they play in necessarily,
Let me
but
see the.
it's the reverse. So the reverse in the big book says impracticality, lack of success, self-doubt, insecurity, greed. And the larger interpretation said success. Oh, Cassie, I think I just figured this out.
Oh,
Okay,
shit.
so parts of this you're like, I don't know. Success may be minimal or inconsistent due to entrenched patterns of procrastination or self-doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, so at first, maybe, people aren't really believing it. You're kind of even maybe doubting yourself. Being guarded about one's secrets of success and unwilling to help others thrive. The potential for greed and corruption. And here's where it gets me. In an employment situation, a possible warning about a higher up who demonstrates dishonorable or selfish behavior.
That kind of sounds like the government. Like,
Right.
What the government does with like the UFO.
Yeah, they're like trying to
information.
hide stuff and
Yeah.
like change the story. I feel like that kind of speaks to me on this one.
Yeah. that
I
makes
wasn't
sense
sure
to
where
me.
this was going to tie in, but
It kind of makes sense too
Yeah.
with like the next episode
oh shit.
too, because
Spoilers?
there's more. So yeah.
Part 2
Part
coming at you
2.
right quick.
So join us next week for more UFOs in the Pacific Northwest. 1, a 2, a 3. Have a creepy ass day. We did it. First try.
So, for all of you that are listening, if you have any true crime or paranormal stories that you want us to share, maybe with the whole Pacific Northwest.
Yes, we would love to read them on the pod.
Yeah, we will read them out loud. Email us at pnwhauntsandhomicides@gmail.com. It's all spelled out, no special characters, super duper easy peasy.
Also, if you would like to follow us on Facebook or Instagram, it is at PNW Haunts and Homicides, the same thing as the email. It's all spelled out, no special characters or anything.
Bitchin'. You want to have an ass day?
You want to have an ass day?
We're going to have an ass day.
I love ass days.
Love ass days. Ass days are the best. Okay, so do you want to do the count?